Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black and Abroad, an interview series highlighting the lived experiences of Black expats around the world. I'm Kendall Tyson, your host, licensed therapist, and fellow Black expat. We have a great episode in store for you today, and I would like to welcome Makosa, Nathanael, Simba to our show today. Say hi, Simba.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. So before we get started, I'm going to do just like a brief introduction. So Simba hails from Kadoma, Zimbabwe. He's currently a student in China, because y'all know I'm in China right now. He's a student and a startup entrepreneur. And at the age of 21, he came to China to study, mainly because of a scholarship. That's an amazing opportunity. So there are 5 kids in his family, and he's the third born. And I think you said your little brother's here, or you have a brother after you.
Yeah, I have a little brother after
me.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds as if, one moment in life, a life-changing moment was when your father passed away in 2012, as he was working as a high school biology teacher and math teacher. And I know that can be, a challenging thing, but I'm glad to know that, you have your mom who's a homemaker and a housewife, and that right there is a huge job in itself. It sounds like you're living your life independently here in Beijing.
Correct.
Okay, so before we get further into our interview, I always ask, so who would you say Simba is?
Well, that is, of course, when many people are asked about those questions, they start to mention what they do. They start to mention the achievement they've made in life. No, I'm a doctor and I'm a student in this. But recently, I have come to realize that all of that is just content we identify with. And as soon as those things are taken from us, we kind of slide back into identity crisis, and then we fail to realize what we are exactly. So Simba is just I am. For me, that's me. It's just me as a whole, as a human being, and what I stand for and what I believe to be true. I cannot identify myself with what I've achieved or what I look like, or yes, I'm Black, of course, and I'm Black and living abroad, but that does not go deep down into identifying who I am exactly.
Okay, well, share with us one thing that identifies who you are exactly.
Okay.
Remember, I'm a therapist, so I ask really good questions.
All right. Honestly, as Simba, right? As you say, like what identifies you as Simba? Honestly, for me, is the ability to get out of crazy and confusing situations. Probably that's just me, because I've always found myself in such situations. But even though as painful as it might be, at the end of the day, I come out looking back like, oh, how did I exactly come out of this? But I'm already out of the situation. Basically, that's what identifies me. And that's what probably gives me strength to keep on moving, to keep on going as I progress in this life. The knowledge that I'm able to come out of my situations as a whole is what I believe to be who I am. Basically, that's what it is. Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm glad is that, we have a voice for students that are studying abroad. As a student right now that's studying abroad, that's a large demographic here in Beijing. So for anybody watching the show that happens to be in the phase of life that you're in, a maturing young man trying to figure out, his place in the world, who he is, juggling all these balls, college student trying to start a business. I definitely hope that you're able to, share your truth when it comes to the experiences that you're currently living, so that other students that are studying abroad and walking a similar path can kind of hear and glean from the life that you're currently living.
Yeah.
Okay.
Currently.
So as an expatriate, an individual living outside your home country, how did you tell us about your journey to Beijing?
Well, as I said, I came here, as you said, actually, I came here I was offered a scholarship, and it was a life-changing moment when I heard that I would be going I would be coming here. So yeah, I came here mainly for the scholarship. And actually, the truth of the matter is I came here when I was 19, September of
Okay.
2019. Yeah, that's right now, that's when I'm 21, but I came September 2019, that's when I came here. And that's basically what happened. I was helped by my cousin who is in Tianjin right now. But that was my journey. I had finished my I don't know how to explain this, but we have a high school in Zimbabwe. That's, they call it advanced level. I had just finished advanced level, and I did not just averagely well. So yeah, when they told me I got a scholarship, and I found myself here, and that's basically the whole journey. There's
Okay.
nothing more. Yeah, as
Okay.
simple
What
as
are you
that.
studying?
I'm studying electrical engineering and it's
Okay.
automation. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what does that entail? Like, as a student of electrical engineering, what does your day look like?
Well, probably I can speak for myself right now as a person who is trying to start a business and at the same time studying. Well, it's basically a busy day for me. And most people of my age don't understand me because sometimes I do my work and I'm busy from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. And sometimes I even get back home at 10 p.m. every day. Probably not every day, but the weekdays from Monday to Friday. Because during the day from 8 to maybe 3, I do my schoolwork. And then after that, I do stuff that's related to my company. So yeah, it's actually very, very hard. And considering the type of environment that we're living in and this type of age, there are a lot of social pressures that we have. You, first of all, you want to go party, you want to go clubbing, right? At the same time, you want to make sure you get your grades because mama's waiting for that for the degree, mama's waiting
Right.
for the
They
paper.
disappoint your mama.
Yeah. At the same time, you are aware of this ideology that's rising up, that no, if you're gonna solely depend on your program or solely depend on your education, it's not gonna get you nothing but pay your bills. It's not gonna get you the life that you exactly want. So at the same time, you're gonna try and start something of your own. So it's a very critical and delicate balance that you have to maintain: your social life, having friends, and having your free time, studying, and at the same time trying to earn or trying to prepare so that you're able to get the life that you want. So it's a very critical and confusing balance that sometimes people just give in. I did that one time. You just give in and just fall on the one side of the balance. It's either you become a nerd or you become someone who goes to the clubs, or probably every weekend or every day. So there is that imbalance that we face as a college student right now, that you try to balance exactly what you want and what's expected of you.
I hear you. That sounds like a very delicate balance, right? Like
It
you
is.
said, it sounds like it can be a lot of pressure. And one thing I definitely want to say is it sounds as if having all of these moving parts, because everybody may not want to have a business. Some people may just want to be here for school. I consider myself a Black nerd, and I think that's absolutely okay, right? I think it's because we, as the people that we are of the diaspora, we come from intellect, we come from creators. So I don't want anyone to ever shy away from honing in on education. But I think sometimes you have to, not even sometimes, what I hear from you is that your focus is different.
Mhm.
So the decisions that you choose to make, I wouldn't say are better or worse than anyone else. It's just what you've decided for your
Mhm.
life at this point is
Mhm.
different than other people, maybe in your age demographic. Because at one point I was, clubbing and having a good time as well. But there's a time and a place for that when you have an idea of what you want your
Mhm.
current how you want your current time to be used and how that's gonna lead you to the your best hope or your envisioned future. I think the way that we approach things is different, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
figuring out
yeah.
how to be of a support to one another,
Mhm.
I would say is critical. So with that question, I'm curious. I heard you speak a lot about school and work. It sounds like you have a really set routine, which honestly is a good thing.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah,
me,
I
what is
actually
it?
do.
Okay, that's good because that's going to help
Yeah.
you. How does your routine help you? Help us understand that.
Well, first, what I've established and realized is that many people of our of my demographic age group, they have an idea, they know that I'm supposed to be doing this. No, I'm supposed to be focused on my work. I'm supposed to be, but it only plays in the mind. And what I've realized that most of us don't realize that until you put it in action, and but by putting in action, I mean you start writing it down. It only stays in your mind and it only hovers there until you find, oh, you discover it's already 3 years. Oh no, it's already 4 years and I haven't done nothing yet. So I realized that no, for me to make a real tangible progress, I have to set goals. Of course, you have a bigger ultimate goal, but then you distill that and you separate it into smaller periodic goals and then into daily goals. And that's what made me come up with a daily routine. It's old, but I have a thing on my wall. It actually details like you wake up at this time, you do this, you do that. So that helps me to check me and check myself, because when I put this down, I look at myself and say, okay, Simba, what is it exactly that you want in your life? When you're sober, when you don't have anyone around you, just you and your thoughts, and you think about exactly what you stand for and exactly what you deeply want in life. Because no matter what we do outside the club and all that, we know what we really want as a human being, as a person. You know exactly what you want and exactly what you feel. So when you write those things down, you're not biased. So when you want to go out of your way, you have something that act as a guideline, something that acts as a way to keep you in track of where you want to go. So basically, that's what helps me to help me uh, manage my time and manage my time as effectively as possible as I can.
Listen, the things that you're saying are literally the things that I share with my clients, be they adolescents,
Wow.
millennial professionals, college students. It's understanding, how do you manage your time effectively?
Yeah,
What does it look like to be goal oriented? But first, that starts with one of the things I heard you say is just your dreamer things. So that's essentially talking about a person's best hopes. What is the end goal? What are you doing all of this for? And then you begin to work backward so that you can identify what are the key things that I need to do in order to get there. So
that's
it sounds
exactly
like
right.
I'm wondering, who is it that you learned? Who did you learn these processes from?
Well, actually, I cannot say one person, or I cannot
Okay.
name. Or maybe if I would be naming one thing, I would say it would be life. I don't know if that would be confusing, but I would say basically it's just life. Because coming from a country like Zimbabwe and coming to China, it's a huge gap. It's like what they say in I don't know, in those sci-fi movies, if you watch them, that maybe there's a quick change in speed, or a quick change in whatever. There's a very gap, coming from Zimbabwe and coming to China. So that kind of leaves you in a loop that you kind of leave yourself behind and sort of like start off as a new human being here. And then when that happens, you are like a kid who's trying to figure out what works and what does not work. And at the same time, you don't have direct guidance or direct counsel as to what you're supposed to do. So for me, basically, it was just downs and probably terrible moments in my life that made me realize, oh no, I really need to fix something, because when you have a need, a desire, and that need is not satisfied, it will motivate you to do things which sometimes you cannot explain, you know. And there was a time I even looked for a therapist. If
We're
I
gonna get
really
into that. That's good.
yeah, I really felt like I needed to talk to someone, and I even went on Google because I didn't know anything. So I tried to look for that, but unfortunately I couldn't find, because I don't know. I just ended up, okay, realized that, okay, I need to fix myself and I need to deal with myself.
Okay.
So gradually I started taking baby steps, but concrete steps. And that made me come up with a solid plan that I now follow without any problems.
Okay. I like that. I like the fact that you kind of admitted that at some point, you need a little bit of assistance. And I think that's
Yeah.
one thing in our culture. I'll just say, when I say culture as Black people, although
Mm-hmm.
we are to the world Black people, we all
Mm-hmm.
have our own distinctive culture.
Yeah,
Zimbabwe,
yeah, 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 yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Um, I would like to know,
Mm-hmm.
how has, growing up in Zimbabwean culture affected or influenced your thinking about mental health? Because it
Well,
sounds as if you know that it's important.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well. As you have said, that cultures that as the world sees us, we are one, right? But fundamentally, we are different. You know. But what I would like to say is that the role, like that culture plays, is that let's if we might want to consider the what is this called, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that pyramid,
Yeah.
at the bottom is like physiological needs and on and stuff like that. So what I believe is that if the differences in the way that a culture evolves has a direct impact into how they take how seriously they take mental health. Because if your main goal, or if your needs at the moment are trying to find clothing and food and a house, there is no absolute way you're going to think about, okay, your mental health, because you don't have time to think for that. You have to secure your next meal, so considering my culture as someone who's from Zimbabwe, I would say that cultures really play a very different role. That's why I think, in the more developed countries, you have more mental health institutions than in the still developing countries. Because in a country like Zimbabwe, people are busy looking for food. People are busy looking for shelter. They're looking for, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay for my kids' school fees? Something like that. And they are preoccupied with those things, that they don't have time to pay attention to their mental health. But of which I think it's kind of a problem, because the fact that you're busy, you're preoccupied with the trying to satisfy your physiological needs, that does not eliminate the fact that mental health needs to be taken care of.
Right.
It's like physical fitness. You hardly see a gym in Zimbabwe. Of course they're there, but they're not as plenty as we have in China. Like here in my compound downstairs, I think there are like 2 or 3 gyms, right? But in Zimbabwe, you have to go something like 5 or 10 kilometers to get a gym. So in as much as physical health is important, mental health is equally as important. But people choose, or I cannot say choose, but circumstantially, they are forced to ignore, but they don't know that it is important to pay attention to.
I hear you. I think what you said makes absolute sense. And it sounds to me like you're recognizing that there's a systemic imbalance, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
It's the same thing in America when it comes to certain demographics and
Mm-hmm.
socioeconomic demographics and races, that we are spending time on trying to live and survive and provide shelter. And that doesn't negate the presence of mental health struggles. Oftentimes
Yeah.
it exacerbates, it makes them worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if the resources aren't widely available, or there's not enough outreach for individuals of certain economic status to be able to seek entry and afford, then oftentimes it could, make their outcomes a bit more challenging, right? So I think what I'm
That's
hearing
right.
you say is, what does it look like to improve the systems that are available for individuals to be able to spend time working on their mental health? That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole thing.
Okay, so then I'm curious,
Mhm.
as we have just a few more questions. As a young male, a young Black male, here living in a foreign country, what does community, mean to you? The research states that a lot of men struggle with having a bunch of friends and being social, and that greatly impacts their mental well-being. So I would like to know, what does the concept of community and chosen family while you're here living abroad, how does that impact your life?
Well, Well, honestly speaking, for me, maybe it's the way I was nurtured while growing up, but I never really had a lot of friends. Probably maybe because I was a little bit isolated when I was growing up. Probably a forced isolation. It's a polite way of saying, uh, I really didn't fit. I was a misfit, exactly.
You got into
In
trouble.
not into trouble, but
You can be
the
honest here.
I you know, it, I don't like people to feel pity for me, but I was in primary
No
school.
pity.
I was kind of bullied, so that separated me from my peers, exactly,
Okay.
and the people that I started to hang out with. They were much older than me because uh, I just didn't see the goodness in my peers. So I didn't
Mhm.
have a lot of friends, even when I was in Zim. And when I came here, it came back and became the same thing. And right now, I have only one person whom I call my friend, and that is basically all that I need. You know, of course, yeah, I have other close acquaintances, right? But when I mean friend, when I mean actual friend, I mean one person, and that guy is just more than a friend to me. He's brother. And there's this guy, a rapper called Joyner Lucas. He said one time that I came to understand that family, the word family, is just a cover. People try to use it to take advantage of you, and I realized that because I've been through a lot. Honestly, I've seen a lot of troubles, and I've been in so much real troubles that I needed people who I thought were my family, but then I realized that no, they're not here for me. So for me, community, it's there to remind me, basically, that I'm not alone, right? I'm not alone in this foreign land, and there are people who are keeping up with me. But pertaining to direct motivation as to my mental well-being, honestly, it is just my friend. And yes, the community helps, but when you go to those functions, the black whatever functions, yeah, you see people, but there is no way you're gonna pour out your heart. There's no way you're gonna pour out exactly how you're feeling about whatever situation is going on with your life to just random guys you meet.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I think I,
You're
I don't
kind
know.
of doing
Maybe
it now, but I'm glad.
well, honestly, yes, I've said, right, but honestly, this is just probably the tip of the iceberg. If I had to
It is.
delve and dig down, deep down into what I've been through, honestly, I recently wrote something down, and I wrote 18,000 words, a 30-page. I don't know how to say that, but it's just a
Your
narration
thoughts.
of what has been going on in my life, over the course of the past 2 years. 18,000
Some
words. I
journaling.
didn't, yeah, I don't know,
It
maybe,
sounds like.
yeah. So, it, for me, it's, yes, they help, but they help in the sense of development and evolving as a black people, and just to have a thought and the knowledge. I've come to realize that the essence of humanity and survival lies in the knowledge and in the presence of two equally important things, right? You need to have a purpose in life, and you need to have friends. You need to have people whom they've got your back. And
Community.
that is what I have broken down this, what I think my life is, to just two things. If I have a purpose, and if I have people that I know that have my back, that is it. So I think if the community gives you the people to lean on, or people who've got your back part, then I think, yeah, it's really essential.
Okay. I really like that. Like two of the things that you talked about, having a purpose in life and having the communal support, are two of the aspects of well-being that
Hmm.
help people have good outcomes, that help people
Hmm.
improve their mental health.
Yeah.
Stigma grows when we're isolated, and depression, deepens when we don't have the support systems, appropriate, healthy support systems for us to be able to work our ways into better ways of being. So I really appreciate what you're saying. And you said something key, um, like going out, you're not going to share. Of course, you got to build up trust. That's kind of what I'm hearing you saying, that learning to trust others, that takes time. But there's also an element when we've experienced a certain type of trauma when it comes to dealing with people, especially people that are supposed to be close to us. We have to also learn how to trust ourselves and our judgment, right? That there's nothing wrong with the judgment that we make, the way that we think through things, how we trust other people. We have to be just as forgiving to ourselves when things have occurred in our lives and we've reaped some sort of consequence that maybe isn't necessarily, you know, what we deserve. Because a lot of unfortunate things happen to good people. But one of the through lines I hear about what you're saying is that you have a built-in resilience that's been nurtured over time. And sometimes resilience is only nurtured through challenge, right? But you have to wake up every day with the decision. Either I'm gonna best this thing that's in my way, or I'm gonna let it best me. And I know me, I don't like to lose. So, so we have just a few more questions. When you think about the advancement of mental health in Zimbabwe and Black communities here, while you're in China, I'm wondering, you know, can you briefly share with us what would you hope for that to look like?
Well, I certainly hope that everyone um, have this internal and strong um, basic knowledge that mental health is something that is as important as physical health. People always talk about physical health. You might not exactly look for it, right? Or you might not exactly try to hear what it's about. But here and there you hear, oh no, you don't have to, you have to exercise a little bit. You have to do this. You don't have to drink too much beer. You have to eat fruits. For some reason, they pass through our ears, those things. But it seems as if mental health, we don't hear about that, almost nothing. So I think my hope is that everyone gets an awareness that mental health is as important as probably eating food. You need to be exercising. You need to do things that helps you keep in shape, because I think as a Black community, we have this feeling that no, doesn't matter. I'll take care of it later on, But it's not like that. It's actually very important, and I think the hope is that that there's a need to be an awareness, and for people who are probably older than me or who are my age, there's a small chance that that there can be a mental shift towards how they understand mental health. But I think our best bet is on trying to educating the young, from people who are starting from kindergarten. They need to be told as young as when they start going to school, they need to be told that, no, you need to pay attention to your mental health. It's very important. So when they grow up, they have this consciousness in them that, no, I need to pay attention to this. This is important. And this is what I need to do.
I really appreciate, and I agree with what you're saying. It's a little bit more difficult and more challenging to help shift the thinking and understanding of our older generations. It's not impossible. And I think that the stage of life that myself and you are in, there's a lot more awareness, that's being put out into the world, but every day we have to make a decision, are we going to face the things that get in our way so that we can have a better outcome? But specifically, train kids in math and science and education.
That's exactly right.
Training them about emotional awareness, having an assertive voice, setting boundaries. But I think a lot of that also starts at home in our respective cultures, reframing what some of the things that we've been taught looks like, depending on where you're from and how your family dynamic is. Setting boundaries is difficult for people to do when maybe you weren't taught that saying no is okay, or you were taught that to prioritize yourself means that you're selfish. So when it comes to shifting these narratives within our, local families and local communities, I think that we'll continue to see more growth. I do have a question for you as a college student. If you were talking to fellow college students right now, what would you say like what would be the top 3 things you would offer for them to help them when it comes to supporting them through difficult times?
Well, if we are to picture me talking to other college students,
You are right
well,
now. So
that is,
there
honestly
will be
speaking,
college students that
it's
are watching this.
well, you know, I, I would want to say that there has to be a precondition that these students that I'm talking to, they have a slight realization that there's need for mental health. Because, I think the greatest sickness that can ever be is that you don't know that you're sick. I think that is the greatest sickness, everyone. So when you start to realize, that no, I need to pay attention to this. Well, in that precondition, well, I can tell people that the first thing is that you need to pay attention to yourself, because for you to be the best to everyone, to your friends, to you, as a classmate, as a student, you need to be the best version of yourself. So you start by working inward out. I like quoting people. I think J. Cole said, um, the only real change come from inside. you know yeah. So you have to reflect and look at yourself and say, okay, what is it exactly that I need? And then you start from there. So as a help to their mental health, I would say the first thing we need to do, you need to have knowledge. Once you realize that there's a slight problem with you need to have knowledge. And knowledge comes through learning. And there are many ways we can learn. You can watch videos on YouTube and such. These programs also, they help a lot. And you can even read. On the top of my list is reading. I read a lot. I started reading October of 2020. That's when I started reading. I did not read at all before. Like I had not completed one single book in my life. But ever since, it's now turned into a habit, and I have stacked a lot of books. And so reading is number one. You need to have
Me
knowledge.
too. Look at my library.
Yeah.
And that's a few
Well,
of them.
mine is just over there. You cannot see it, but yeah, I've amassed a large number of books, and I would recommend people to read. There's this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People
One
by
of my
Steve
favorite
Covey.
books. I give it
Me
away every
too.
time I do talks, but they have one for teens too. So,
Me,
oh,
me
yes.
too. Me too. I recently did a giveaway. Unfortunately, I don't have any social media, like Instagram or Facebook. But on my WeChat, I just wrote that, okay, if there's anybody who needs this, just hit me up. And right now, if I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I'm willing to give 10 books free if anybody
Okay.
needs this book. Yeah. I don't know how you're
We
gonna
can
do
make
it,
that
but
happen. We can make it happen.
yeah, just 10 books. That book really, really helped me. So people need to read, and people need to understand, and they need to have knowledge. And people take some of these things for granted. Having your time, having quiet time, it's really an important thing. You just sit down and let your thoughts flow with your thoughts. And if you have an Apple Watch, it's quite very easy. They have mindful, what do you call this? I don't know
Yeah,
the name.
mindful moment. Like take
Mindful
time to
moment.
slow
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Minute.
But they have mindfulness and reflection. It only
Yeah.
takes 1 minute. Sometimes they tell you just to breathe. Those things are important, and they really help you. I think in simple words, the thing I need to say is you need to be conscious. That's all.
Mm.
You need to snap out of this, whatever will be going on in your life. You just need to snap out a little bit. Oh, as there's this one song called Blue Notes by Mick Mill. He sings and then he says, wait a moment, take a few steps back, and then take a look at yourself, right? And then he says, no, actually get out of yourself and then go a little distant and then look at yourself. So you need to have a consciousness of what's going on. You need to feel present of what's going on at the moment in your life. That's what I would say to my fellow students.
Listen, when they watch this, I think that people are going to be hitting you up to talk to them because you
Oh,
have quite a lot of knowledge and obviously the on the ground experience. I'm so glad that you said the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Such a religious book.
Well, yeah. Well,
I
actually,
teach kids that
uh,
book.
yeah. I'm giving away 10 books for free, not just for people
Okay.
to have a knowledge. Yeah. And
Okay,
actually,
so
I've been thinking,
we can partner to make that happen. So we
yeah,
can talk after this is over.
yeah,
I just have like 2 more questions.
yeah.
So when you think about self-care, can you briefly share with me like what are the things that you do on a daily basis to take care of yourself?
Well, the first thing is that because I have a very busy day. As I said, from 8 to 8, my day is fully planned. And so what I do is that I read. I make sure that every day I read something, and I share it to my friend or I share it to somebody else, and sometimes I just post randomly on my WeChat. Like yesterday I said, I had just finished. Okay, sorry, let me let me get my thing straight. So I read, right? That is, I do that almost every day. I read, and then I try to keep my distance from social media. This is just me,
No, it's
especially
fine.
Instagram, all those things, Facebook. I don't know. So I try to keep my distance from that, and then I have quiet time. I literally have quiet time. You just sit and think about your life and think where you want to be. And I also do have moments where I have a mantra. I have a here that I try to say out loud every day, and I have things that I read, that help me keep in shape. And I also do physical exercises.
Okay.
I'm not muscular, but I try to keep my to keep my physical
Okay.
to my physique well.
Okay, yeah. So you said a lot of things. It sounds as if you engaging in that quality time with yourself. I would love to hear your what you call a mantra is an affirmation, obviously. So do you mind sharing it with us?
Well, this one is quite long. It's called the self-confidence formula. I extracted this from
Where can we find it then?
what's the name of the book? Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, it's called the
Yeah,
self-confidence formula.
formula. Yeah. It says
Okay.
if you have a PDF, if you have a PDF of the book, I think you can search for the keywords. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life.
Ooh,
That's
I
how
like
it
that.
starts. Yeah.
Okay. And where do I find this?
The book Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, who is that?
Napoleon Hill. Napoleon
That's
Hill.
it.
Yeah.
I have that book.
Yeah. So I think the quickest way to find it is if you get a PDF, and then you search, you do your find
Oh yeah,
the
I have it
PDF
in my
there.
I have it in my Kindle. I already
Yeah,
have it. So
yeah.
that'll be
So yeah,
something that we
that's
extrapolate from.
that's basically what I do. I read, and then I just pay attention to myself, and I give time to me.
I really appreciate it. I know that you may not think that you are impacting your community, that you enjoy your alone time and things, but the message that you shared today is most certainly going to be impactful to, individuals in your age group in college. Um, there's just a different level of understanding and awareness and support that students do need. And one of the
Yeah,
things that I want them to understand in this conversation is that the help is there. There
yeah,
are professionals like myself and other professionals in the city that are ready and willing to provide the service to help you all navigate this landscape because it's very different than when I was in college. The world wasn't in a pandemic when I was in
yeah,
college.
yeah.
So I'm grateful for your candor, for your honesty today. And we're going to shift to the rapid question round. And then we'll
Mhm.
come. And we say you don't have social media, which is
Yeah.
not a problem. Social media has great benefits, but it can also be detrimental if not used correctly, right? So if you know that's a
That's very good.
distraction for you, you do whatever you have to do to stay in a good space. So we're gonna go first to our first wraparound question. And what's one word that you would use to describe yourself?
I am. Oh, one word. Am. I don't know.
Well, you got to think about it a little harder than that.
Well, honestly, one word. As I said before, I don't like to identify myself with content and things and whatever. So the one word that I would describe myself is self.
Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you a different word. One of the things you said earlier today was conscious and
Oh,
self-aware.
yeah.
So
Conscious.
if
Yeah.
I'm gifting you anything today, that's the word that I would give to describe you.
Yeah. Conscious. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so who's your favorite artist?
As in musician,
Artist.
artist. Well, Bob Marley.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Bob Marley.
And we've talked about something that you do for self-care. What's one thing that you love about yourself?
Well, I love that. Um, I haven't been able to lose. I haven't been able. I haven't lost myself completely at any point in my life, no matter how much problems I faced, or no matter how down I felt, or there's a time I felt so depressed that, it sounds crazy, right? But I felt so depressed that my heart was heavy. I could not stand
That's not
up.
crazy at all. It's
It,
life.
yeah, I felt that kind of a depression that you'll be lying on a couch and you feel so heavy that you cannot stand up. Even in those moments, I love that there was a background thought, or a subconscious, no, subconscious is not the word, because I was able to know it, but there was a background thought that told me that no, you're able to get out of this. That's one thing I love about me. There's always that I don't know if it's a voice or whatever it is, but there's always that thing that tells me that you can do it. That's
Your
it. That's
intuition.
intuition. Exactly. That's the word. Yeah, intuition. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
My intuition,
So,
yeah.
what's your favorite country to visit?
Oh well, I would visit I think um honestly, I think I will visit. Oh, that's pretty hard. Uh, uh, Honestly, sorry about this. I cannot.
Loading. Okay, that's fine.
I
So,
I
I
haven't
want to
thought
know,
about
like,
that.
what's one thing that you love most about your culture?
Well, resilience.
Mm,
Yeah, in my culture, we have this resilience that we have, and we when we focus on something, we get it done. You know, that's basically what we do. When post independence, 1980, the government and everyone, the community and the society was focused on getting everyone educated.
mm,
And yeah, even though things might be hard, but everybody goes to school in Zimbabwe.
yeah.
Every single kid, unless you are on the other side of the extreme, but everybody goes to school. So that's the culture that I like. And also the unit, not the unity, but there is this feeling that you have that no, I am a Zimbabwean and I can make this happen. You know, I
Like a
I
culture
I, I
pride.
yeah, I completely believe that you can find a Zimbabwe practically almost in every country. Almost, I believe that. If you cannot find them there, at least one person has been there. So I know that we have this ability to outreach, and we have this ability to do things beyond our abilities.
Thank you. And so my last rapid round question would be, and I think you probably said it already, but you can say it
Mm,
again.
mm.
Give us your favorite inspirational quote or affirmation.
Uh, well, I would say that if you are unhappy, this okay. Okay, I said this one before. Like the what you need as a human being is that you need to have a purpose and friends. But I would also want to add that if you are unhappy, don't try to find things that would make you happy, but rather look for what's causing the unhappiness and deal with that. So deal with the cause of the problem, but not the symptoms. That's what I would like to say.
Hear you. So go to the root of the issue.
Yes, got to the root of the issue. That's, when you're having so much confusion and so much noise in your life, you're unhappy. Don't try to find a girlfriend to make you happy. Don't try to go to the club and make you happy. Don't try to
Yeah,
play games or watch movies. Just sit yourself and face it. Sit
I hear
down,
you.
sit down with yourself, face it. Yeah. And my friend and I, we're thinking of, it's still a thought, but I'm thinking of co-authoring a book called, you're still thinking of the name, but so far we've decided to call it Become. And we think it's gonna have a great impact, especially on
Okay.
our age. Yeah, because that's what we're thinking of doing. Oh, and also I had forgotten the other thing that I do to keep my mental health is I write. I write a lot.
That's obvious.
Yeah, I write. I write poems, and some of the
Okay.
poems that I'll share some of them with you later on. But some of the
Okay.
poems that I write, I did not understand them. I don't know. I have this thing of I cannot explain. I kind of disconnect with me, or sometimes I hear something talking. I don't know if it's inspiration or intuition. I don't know, but I think about something and then I start writing down. And sometimes they don't make sense. And my poems, most of them,
That
some of them I don't
moment.
do. Yeah. So when I write those things down, I write them down, and I've learned that writing things down crystallizes, distills, and
Yeah.
breaks apart into a whole.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I some of the things that I wrote down in my poems, I'm seeing them in the books I'm reading now. I'm like, oh, so this is what I meant.
There's a
So
connection.
that's the connection. Yeah. So that's basically
I
what it
I
is.
appreciate that you're really open to the process without actually knowing what the process is.
Yeah,
'Cause the
yeah.
things that
That's
you're
that's
saying that
exactly
you're
right.
doing are literally the things that I suggest, as a licensed therapist to clients, people that I talk to, people that I coach. So I would encourage you and your friend to be diligent in your efforts with doing the book, maybe write your outline, get everything done, do your research, whatever you need to do, but don't falter. Keep going. And with that, I want to thank you, Simba, for sharing your time with us today. It has been an awesome message. I've learned a
Yeah,
lot just by listening to our conversation, being engaged in our conversation.
yeah. Me too.
Um, and for everyone that's watching, I want to say thank you for tuning in to Black and Abroad. I encourage you to keep taking risks, keep impacting your communities, and keep prioritizing your mental health. So please share this in your communities. We're trying to grow this message of breaking stigma and taking care of ourselves. And with that, we're going to say peace, everyone.
Peace out.